Screenshot.
Yeah, boy.
What's going on, guys? Today we are checking out some of the coolest skills in Outward that require magic or mana to use. These, of course, are called Hexes. They inflict a sort of aura or colorful element onto the enemy that you can see. Depending on the hex you apply, the aura will be a different color. The easiest way to think about hexes is to think of them as a debuff. Once it is applied to your enemy, they will be 25% weaker to that element and deal 25% less damage in that element. So certain enemies such as ghosts that do ethereal damage will deal less damage to you if you place the haunted or purple hex on them. In this way, you can make insane melee builds that need at least 1 point of mana in order to inflict these hexes, causing you to do more damage and in a way, get some extra defense. Hexes were introduced into Outward with the addition of the Soraborians DLC. This means that all the hexes can be found over in Harmattan and the Antique Plateau. If you head to the Ley Line, which is in the large tower in the center of town, you can check out the Hex Mage skill tree. This tree is very powerful, and is based on Hex-type magic. You can pick up the Jinx skill here, and this will apply a random hex to the target you cast it on. It is pretty random as to which hex is applied, and it can be difficult to say, like, max out lightning damage for hexes, and then take 5 casts just to get the lightning hex applied. A great skill, though, that can allow you to attack from long range and weaken enemies with little to no danger to yourself. Fortunately, there are some other hex skills that can be used to inflict the exact hex that you want. These are the hex skills, and they require you to get within melee range of the enemy and touch them with your finger. They each cost only 5 mana and have a mere 3-second cooldown. Let's check out how you can get each of these guys. Scorch is the hex associated with fire, and will cause your enemy to deal 25% less fire damage and be 25% less resistant to fire damage. Simply head to the ley line area of the main tower in Harmattan and talk to the 9th Watcher. For 50 silver, he can teach it to you. Haunt is the hex associated with Ethereal, and will cause your enemy to do 25% less ethereal damage and be 25% less resistant to ethereal damage. Walk over to Robin Garnett, the alchemist in Harmattan. She will teach it to you for the small price of 50 silver. Doom is the hex associated with lightning, and will cause your enemy to deal 25% less lightning damage and be 25% less resistant to lightning damage. Talk to Headmaster Raoul Salberry in the main tower in Harmattan, and he will teach it to you for 50 silver. Chill is the hex associated with cold, and will cause your enemy to deal 25% less cold damage and be 25% less resistant to cold damage. In order to get this one, you will need to have 1 piece of raw meat. Take it down to a cave in front of the Vigil Pylon in the Antique Plateau. In this cave, you will find a Wendigo and 1 elemental. Neither has to be defeated, as you just need to open the gate behind them. However, I ended up having to kill them since they were getting in my way. There's a pile of bones or a skeleton in the corner of the room. Head over to it and give it the raw piece of meat. It will reward you with the Chill Hex, as well as some creepy dialogue. Curse is the hex associated with Decay, and will cause your enemy to deal 25% less decay damage and be 25% less resistant to decay damage. Getting this one requires you to complete the Bloody Business quest. I'm going to walk you through it, but just note that you must fully complete this side quest in order to get the Curse Hex. In the bottom left corner of your map, you will find a cave where some bloody mages are hiding out. Head there and defeat all the enemies inside. Once you have cleared the cave, you will need to interact with the bloody carcass on the throne. Basically, he wants you to kill his mages in 4 separate locations, so that he can finally die. The locations where the mages are can be seen on my map currently. Just follow the path I take, and you will have no trouble finding them at all. Once you have cleared all 4 locations, head back to the bloody corpse and interact with it. You will receive the Curse Hex as well as some other fantastic rewards. So those are all the hexes that you can either find or buy in Outward. They're really good for weakening your opponents and letting you do more damage to them by only using 5 mana. It will take some time to get used to these skills though, so don't be deterred if you have trouble with them at first. You will need to be very close to your enemy to hit them with it. Luckily, you can actually have your weapon out while you use these. This is not the case with the Jinx skill, as it forces you to sheath your weapon upon activation. So an easy way to get these applied is to block until you have a good opening and place the Hex. There is another skill in the Hex Mage skill tree called Torment that can be really great for Hex type gameplay. Simply place the exact Hex you want on the enemy, rather than getting the random ones with Jinx, then activate Torment and they will take some damage. This can be especially good with the Scorch or Fire Hex, because once Torment is activated, the enemy will burn for further damage. If you want a really good set of skills to start the game with, simply grab a small amount of mana and go melee. Then apply the burning as you kite your enemies around. There's so much potential with these Hex skills that I honestly believe every single melee build should have these, and maybe even some mage builds as well. Feel free to get creative with these and find ways to use them so that you never get hit while applying them. They can be very powerful and easy to use, even though they seem challenging at first. So there you go, guys. Those are the Hex skills. There are a few more things in the Hex Mage skill tree that works more magic with Hexes, but that requires a breakthrough point. Everything I have mentioned in this video can be grabbed on any character, regardless of which skill trees you chose to go with. I highly recommend you grab these, and it should be easy, since now you know where to find them. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.